Good evening, everyone. You're in the spotlight with Brian Garner for this Tuesday, November the 13th, 2018. Good to have you out here for our first of two shows this week. Um, so a couple of things right off the top. First of all, we are having some mic issues. The reason why I'm running a little late here. Hopefully you're all hearing this. My soundboard says that you are, but things can happen. So if any of you out there are listening to this or watching this and you cannot hear me, please let me know. I can make some changes on the fly and see what happens. But right now, it looks like everything is working. Hopefully, that's the case. For some reason, my audio was just not coming through. So hopefully, that problem's been rectified now. So just keep an eye out for that. If you could, for me, let me know. Because you're the people that are going to let me know, really. Because you're the ones that have to hear me. So, I mean, I can hear myself most of the time, but I prefer to listen to what you all have to say. So it's just more accurate, and it's you're the most important thing. So we need the fans to be able to hear us. So yeah, so I need to know if you guys can hear me out there. So another thing too is my voice is kind of out and in right now. I'm kind of dealing with some congestion issues and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try to speak. I'm gonna be speaking a little lower than I usually do because I have a very high voice. In case you haven't noticed. Now we don't have a lot tonight, but we do have enough where I feared losing my voice during the show tonight. So I'm going to do my best to power through. If I have to take a break and go grab some water, please bear with me. I'm not one of those people that likes to have a drink like right here every show. I just don't do that. So bear with me. Like I said, my voice is kind of in and out. So two little things here off the top of the show. Before we get into some more items that we have to discuss at the top, let me remind you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And you can find us on Facebook. Just search for in the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and make sure that you like our fan page. Once you find it or once you're on it, so you can interact with us and all that cool, good stuff. Okay, so a couple of things off the top of the show. First of all, we want to make sure and to mention the wildfires that are going on out in California, and there's been already a huge amount of loss of life. I think 42 people was the count when I last checked. And obviously, that's only one part of it. There's also people that have lost their homes. They're being evacuated from. Don't even know if they've lost their homes. It's been a horrible situation on top of what happened last week with the horrible shooting at Thousand Oaks. So our thoughts and our prayers go out to the people of California right now, and our condolences, and to those that have lost their lives, may they rest in peace. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone out there that's dealing with these horrible tragedies. It's the shooting, and of course also the wildfires. It's been a rough go, and it's just going to continue to be a rough go. And if you can do anything to help, whether you're giving to American Red Cross or any other charity, you can give your time or volunteer. Anything you can do to help those people out there, please do. They need it. So we want to make sure that we acknowledge that, because that's obviously far more important than the stuff we're going to discuss here on the show tonight. And then we also have to acknowledge a passing from yesterday. For those that might follow my Facebook page, you'll know about, or my Twitter. For my Twitter, I mentioned this too yesterday. We want to acknowledge the passing of Stan Lee, who died yesterday at the age of 95. Stan Lee, of course, one of the co-founders of Marvel. The other co-founder, Jack Kirby, also passed earlier this year, so we lost both of them. We lost both of them in a year span, which is just horrible and unbelievable. And the last couple of years, we've lost a large. Actually, I'm sorry. Jack Kirby died years ago. Who was the other person that died from Marvel this past year? Trying to think of who else it was. My apologies, I got that one wrong. Jack Kirby died, and who was the other person that died? I'm sorry, I'm blanking on that. I should have got my facts straight before I. Oh, Steve Ditko. Was the one other person that passed away earlier this year. So okay, so Steve Ditko. So my apologies. But still, another big name from Marvel that lost his wife earlier this year. So Jack Kirby way back. So all the major pieces of Marvel, as far as comic books go, a lot of them have passed away. A lot of the long time, big time creators have passed away. But yeah, we want to acknowledge the passing of Stan Lee yesterday at the age of 95. If you've been following his career, you know that the last couple of years there's been some health issues. He lost his wife, may she rest in peace, and there's been a lot of things going on with him, and obviously it's you kind of saw that maybe the end was coming, but you still don't want it still hits you, it stings, and look, Stan was so much more than just a guy that is the reason why things like comic book characters like Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men, etc. exists. He was a great personality. He was a genius creator. He was somebody that inspired people, that made people feel good. Anybody that met the man felt good meeting him. He made you feel like you were a superhero. And I put this on my Facebook page, and it's the truth. I don't know if I'd ever be an avid reader if it wasn't for Stan Lee or in the comic books he helped to create. Because the first comic I ever read was X-Men. And it was an X-Men comic I bought, and then I got hooked. And then I started buying Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and all the other ones. Then eventually I got into DC comics like Batman. And that's what I started reading. Obviously I read like books like Dr. Seuss and stuff, but that's when I started becoming a very big reader. And my love of reading went into a love of writing and creating, and was all inspired by comic books. So many of the things that I put pen to paper on, stories that I do tell or write, they're all kind of like inspired by comics and characters from comics, because I like the larger than life nature of it. I like the way that yes, they're comic books, but they tell stories that matter still. How many Marvel stories played into the civil rights movement or other big historical periods in history? Comic books were a way to tell stories, societal stories through larger than life narratives. I mean, there's just so many things. People. I don't think people attribute comic books to. And one of the reasons why comics ended up being the way they did was because of Stan Lee and him, pardon me, wanting the comics to reflect what was going on in society and to tell stories relevant to society that resonated with society. So, the very nature of comics it was derived by Stan Lee, and the way comics ended up was because of Stan Lee. And it wouldn't be what they were, and I don't think a lot of people would be reading them, or Marvel wouldn't be what it is, and the whole entertainment industry wouldn't be what it is. I hazard a guess that many of us wouldn't be reading or being inspired to create like we are if it wasn't for comics and about Stan Lee. So he is a tremendous loss, and he will be missed. And I said this on my Facebook post. I said that I kind of regret that I didn't go to any of these conventions and meet him, because he was obviously a big convention goer for a number of years, and I really wish I had gotten to meet him, because I heard he was just great to be around and talk to. So a very giving man, and he is a huge loss. So may he rest in peace. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, his fans, his friends. And again, that's a huge, huge loss. Stan Lee passing away at the age of 95 yesterday. So a lot of sad, bad news to start off with. And again, far more important than anything we're going to discuss tonight, but we'll try to move on and talk about other things and do some sports tonight. And we got some sports stuff to do. We got some NFL. We'll be looking ahead to week 11 after talking about week 10. We got some college football playoff rankings to get to. A little bit of college basketball. We'll talk about some of the big headlines from what I thought was basically the first full week. It kind of was the first full week. It was the first full week, let's be honest. And we got some baseball stuff, and I'm gonna rant if I hopefully have a voice, because what transpired yesterday in the Rookie of the Year voting was a travesty. It really was. It was a complete and total travesty. A couple quick hitters here off the top. People have been mentioning the whole Le'Veon Bell saga. Does not look like he's going to report for the Steelers. Look, who the hell knows what's going to happen with that mess? I don't even know. I just know both sides. It's just a bad situation. And look, even if he played for the Steelers, it wasn't going to be for very long. Because that relationship is pretty much done. It really is. It's pretty much done at this point. So we'll see where it goes. But it does not look like he's going to report for the Steelers. There's not much else I can say about it but that. Also, Aquarius Revert, many people heard about his injury yesterday or saw his injury yesterday. Thankfully, it looks like he's going to be able to come back this season. It was not as bad as feared. It's a dislocated foot, no breaks, no fractures. It's a miracle that happened. I was just saying last night after seeing the injury that these kind of injuries seem to be happening more and more in basketball. It used to be so rare to see that kind of injury in basketball. Now it's like every year. It seems like you had Gordon Hayward last year, and you had guys in college have that happen to them. It's been crazy how many players have had that kind of injury or happen to them. So when I saw what happened to Levert last night, I was flabbergasted, and obviously, hoping he was okay, and thankfully, it could have been a lot worse. He is extremely lucky. It looks like he will be back this year. So we wish him well and a quick recovery, and thankfully, it looks like he made out of this about as lucky as he could have been. So that's a great thing. So hopefully he'll make a quick recovery and come back, and hopefully we won't see these injuries very much anymore because it's just or at all because these are just horrible injuries. They're scary. You see the reactions of the players, the coaches, everybody in the arena. You can hear a pin drop when these injuries happen. It's just not what you want to see because it's career threatening. It's also life threatening in a lot of ways. So hopefully we won't see those kind of injuries anymore. And thankfully, Levert's wasn't as bad as feared. So a couple little things I wanted to talk about at the top of the show. So I mentioned what we're going to be talking about tonight. So that's our sports stuff for tonight. A couple quick hitters we already talked about. We also have to talk about what's going to be coming up later this week. On Thursday's show, we will do our usual entertainment and wrestling combo. So box office beat, TV highlights, all that good stuff. We'll be doing 2 weeks worth of box office numbers because next week we're only going to have one show on Tuesday because of Thanksgiving. So we'll do 2 weeks worth of box office numbers on Thursday, in addition to TV highlights. And then we're going to do some wrestling. We're going to preview WWE Survivor Series pay-per, which just underwent a huge amount of changes. We'll talk about all those changes, everything that happened on Raw and SmackDown, probably the most eventful Raw and SmackDowns that we've had in weeks. So we'll talk about all those things on Thursday. Also, I've been told through the grapevine that Mike will be joining us on Thursday for the first time in, I think he came out about, I think, the first week of October for the anniversary show, but that was only for like 15 minutes. So, he will be joining us. Excuse me, sorry. I'm moving the camera around everywhere too. I'm sorry. He will be joining us on Thursday's show, and I think he'll be joining us on Tuesday as well. So we'll have him back for at least 2 shows, and then after that, we'll see what's going to happen with the schedule and whatnot. But he will be joining us, and we'll talk Survivor Series, all the big wrestling stuff. And so Thursday will be a fun show in that regard. And then Tuesday, like I said, will be our only show of next week because of Thanksgiving. We'll do our usual sports stuff, NFL, college basketball, anything else we have to cover, and then do a little wrestling as well. And that'll be our show because entertainment stuff we're going to do on Thursday, so we won't have to do any entertainment on Tuesday. And then we'll be off for the rest of next week, and then we'll come back after Thanksgiving for 2 shows, and we'll do that right up until Christmas, which is fast approaching. So, all right, so that's the schedule. Got through that. Now let's get down to business here before I lose my voice. We'll start off with the NFL as we usually do, and then we'll do some college football, a little college basketball, and then we'll end with the MLB stuff. And I don't have a lot to say about the NFL because, I mentioned this, that the era has been pretty much taken out of this season. It's abundantly clear what we're looking at as far as teams that have a chance to truly win, to truly be a potential Super Bowl threat or a playoff threat. You look around the league and it's obvious. We talked about it. You got the Rams, you got the Chiefs. I would put the Saints up there now after their win against the Rams last week. You can even put the Patriots up there, even though they suffered a surprising loss this week. Maybe you can throw the Steelers in there too because they're there. But that's pretty much it. As far as teams that you think can compete, I guess the Panthers could be another one, but that one I'm not ready to put down. But you could put the Panthers on that second tier, along with maybe the Vikings. I still put the Vikings down. I don't believe in the Bears yet. I would also put the Chargers there, even though the Chargers have let us all down in the past. They're really rolling right now, so you gotta kind of buy them. And everybody else under there, everybody else under that level, I think. You can't. You look around the league. Everybody else is falling off. The Dolphins got off to that good start. They're now down to 5-5. There's nobody else in the AFC East worth noting. The Jets are a mess. Todd Bowles is probably going to be fired at the end of the year. So is the GM probably. So they're a mess. The Bills are a mess. You look at the AFC North. The Bengals have fallen off after their good start. They're 5-4. The Ravens are way off. Flacco's hurt. They're 4-5. The Browns ain't going to factor in anything. The Texans are at 6-3, but they also start at 0-4. So do you believe this or not? Who knows? If you believe it, then you can put the Texans on probably that second level. Titans are coming on strong. Just beat the Patriots, so maybe you buy into the Titans a little bit at 5-4, but not quite yet. I don't think the Colts look like they might be alive right now at 4-5. But we'll see. Jacksonville, I think, is totally out of it. They're just a mess right now. They're injury depleted, and it's just a mess. We talked about the Chiefs and Chargers. The Broncos aren't going to do anything. The Raiders aren't going to do anything. And the NFC, the whole entire NFC East is trash. I'm sorry, it is. The Redskins are 6-3, but that's just purely by luck. It's hard to buy into that. It's hard to buy into the Redskins. You still buy the Eagles a little bit, but they just haven't been able to get out of their own way this year. But I don't buy the Cowboys at 4-5, and the Giants, they got their second win last night, but that was because they played with a bad team in the 49ers who don't have Jimmy Garoppolo. That they lost that game, it would be the travesty. Not by a single team in the NFC East. Records, even the 6-3 Redskins. I still buy the Vikings. I think they're getting better. The Bears, I can buy maybe in another week or two if they continue to streak the way they are. Packers are just. I just don't think the Packers got it this year. Rodgers still looks compromised, and the rest of the team is just not good. The Lions ain't going to do anything this year. We talked about the Saints. We talked about the Panthers. The Falcons looked good last week, and they lay an egg this week, so you write them off this year. Buccaneers ain't going to do anything. Cardinals, 49ers ain't going to do anything. Seahawks could be something interesting, but they've lost 2 in a row. So, again, let's think about this here. Rams, Saints, Chiefs, Rams, Saints, Chiefs, Patriots, Steelers. Those are your 5 potential Super Bowl teams on that top tier. And then you got, I would say, the second tier teams, the Vikings, the Panthers. I'll put the Chargers there because they're just rolling right now. That's it. And you got a couple more teams that, I would say the Titans right now, the Texans, Colts might join them in another week or two. I'll put the Redskins there just by default. Eagles I'll put there because they could be better than what they are. Bears, I'm waiting to see what they can do, but they could easily make the second tier in another week or two. And then that's it. Nobody else. Usually we got some teams that are holding on to week 12 or 13. A lot of these teams are out of it, man. A lot of these teams are out of it. It's just a bad league this year. It went from compelling to just, a pretty clear picture and limited picture very quickly. Very quickly. And when you look back at what happened this past weekend, we had the big surprise win with Tennessee beating the Patriots. And look, the biggest surprise was how many, Tennessee beating New England the way they did and Brady not throwing any touchdown passes. It was a bad performance by the Patriots who got exposed. The Titans ran all over them. Yeah, Lewis loved what he saw, clearly. It's a huge win for the Titans and a tough loss for the Patriots because now that's a very significant loss for the Patriots. Because they now fall 2 games back of the Chiefs. And they are a game back of the Steelers. So now it's 3. And like we said before, if you're a team in the AFC, you do not want any. You want to try to knock New England from the top perch. If you can get them out of the 2nd seed, that's even better. Because if you have a playoff game in their building in January, they're not going to lose. I don't care if they're not as good as they are in the past or not. So if you keep them at the 3, then you're putting yourselves in the AFC. The whole entire complexion of the AFC changes. So that's a huge, huge, huge loss for the New England Patriots, and a big one for the Titans because it also keeps them alive for a playoff spot. So that was a very significant development this weekend. Other significant developments, Steelers beating the Panthers. That was a big win for them on Thursday Night Football. Big win, 52-21. Big statement win for the Steelers. Panthers I still buy into, but that was a tough loss for them. Bears handled business against the Lions. Saints handled business against the Bengals. That was big for them. They're just rolling right now. The Browns beating the Falcons, that's big because that probably knocks the Falcons out of any chance of being alive for a playoff spot. Colts, big win over the Jaguars, 29-26. They're very much in play. And a lot of teams, they have to battle for that 6th spot in the playoffs. That's really what they're going to have to do is probably get the 6th spot. They're going to play. So the Colts have a chance here if they can run off some games to maybe make the playoffs. Who would have thought that? Chiefs handled their business against the Cardinals. Bills beat the Jets, but we already talked about that. Probably the end of Todd Bowles and Mike McCann in New York. You can't lose that game to the Bills. Now we can't lose that game. We can't lose it 41-10. It's just terrible. The Jets have been a mess. They're one of my sleeper picks this year. They've been an embarrassment. Their offense has been an embarrassment. Time for changes there. Losing to Matt Barkley and the Bills. We still got rid of Mason Peterman, though. That's a step in the right direction. Redskins handled their business against the Buccaneers. Chargers handled business against the Raiders. Dolphins, I can't say they should have been able to handle their business against the Packers. I don't think the Dolphins are that good. I think the Packers are better, even in a weakened state. So, Dolphins just kind of coming back down to earth. And the Packers, look, they should be a lot better than they are. But they're not, and that's why they're not going anywhere this year. But they get a win against the Dolphins. Rams take care of the Seahawks, 36-31. Seahawks played well, but just not good enough. They're probably one more loss away from being knocked out of being alive for a playoff spot. Cowboys beat the Eagles 27-20, which is a big thing for them because they tie the Eagles. That division's still very much up for grabs. I still buy the Eagles more than the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys just got lucky. The Eagles can't get out of their own way. They're just sloppy. They're just not right this year. Call it Super Bowl hangover, call it whatever you want. They're just not right. I still think they're the better team, and I still think they could potentially win the division. So, but tough loss for them here, and it's a big win for the Cowboys just for the sake of keeping their playoff hopes alive. And the Giants beat the 49ers last night in a nice little confidence boost for pride, but that game obviously doesn't really matter much for either side at this point. So, although the way that the NFC East is going, maybe the Giants can still be alive if they can roll off some games. So, yeah, I mean, really the theme of this weekend was handling your business, and a couple teams didn't, and they got upset, and most teams did, and they're the teams that help their own profiles and help their standing here as we approach the stretch run here as we make our way through that 3rd part of the season. So week 10, fairly uneventful. A couple upsets and significant shifts, but very uneventful. And again, the picture continues to become more clear. Which is shocking because it's only week 10 of the NFL season. But you know what? It is what it is. That's the way the season has gone. Like I said, the air is all out of the season already. So, all right. So let's look at how we did on our picks before we move on to looking at week 11. Because like I said, there's not a lot to talk about in the NFL right now. It's just kind of boring. How we do with our week 10 picks. Let's see here. I had Panthers over Steelers. That was a loss. Rams over Seahawks. That was a win. Eagles over Cowboys, that was a loss. Colts over Jags, that was a win. Saints over Bengals, that was a win. I had Bucks over Redskins because the Bucks like to upset people, but that one was a loss. So I went once again 3-3 in my favorite record this year, 3-3. I think it's like the 6th or 7th time I got that. So 3-3 for week 10. Now we look ahead to week 11. And people keep asking me for the total. I'll give you the total when we get to the end of the season. I don't want to give you a total now because I don't really want to do the math. But I only go week to week. So, and plus I don't think it does anything to have a total right now. It's not like I'm competing with anybody. I'm just making picks. So, all right. So week 11. Weekend before Thanksgiving. Obviously, Thanksgiving always represents the end of that 3rd part of the season and the beginning of the stretch run. So not some interesting games, but again, the theme is going to be handling your business. A lot of teams have the opportunity to do that or put themselves in a better standing. So some games of significance here, very much so on the schedule. We'll talk. Let's get the biggest game out of the way in my mind first, and this is the potential Super Bowl preview. Monday Night Football. ESPN finally gets a great game, and they couldn't. It's probably one of the best games of the season that you're going to get. Monday night on ESPN, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. The Chiefs, the 9-1 Chiefs, going to LA to play the 9-1 Rams. Chiefs are 4-1 on the road. Rams are 5-0 at home. Huge game. Huge game. And it's a game that I think is going to be an offensive light show. It's going to be a lot of offense in it. It's going to be a fun game. I cannot wait for this game. I'm going with the Rams only because I think the Rams have more of a defense. The Chiefs' defense is not as great as it's been in the past this year. I think the Rams are the better team. I think the best team in football. I think they're better, more balanced on both sides of the football. But that doesn't mean that I don't think the Chiefs can pull this off. I think this will be a close game, a high-scoring affair. But I like the Rams, especially at home, to win this game over the Chiefs. So that's going to be a great game to watch. Vikings-Bears is your Sunday night football game. Let's call that game 8:20 p.m. Eastern on NBC from Soldier Field in Chicago, Illinois. The 5-3-1 Vikings, 2-1-1 on the road at the 6-3 Bears, 4-1 at home. It's a chance for the Bears to make a statement. They win this game. They get some distance from the Vikings. They win this game. I think we put them on that second tier, and they proved themselves to be for real. Vikings, I think, need to win this game probably more than the Bears at this point because, they're the team that we all thought would be the dominant team in this division, and they haven't proven that. They struggled out of the gate, but they've been much improved of late. This should be this could go one of two ways. This could either end up being more of an offensive game, which surprised a lot of people because these teams are more known for their defenses, or it could be what you think it would be, a defensive game. And I say the reason why I say it could be an offensive game because sometimes these two offenses have surprised people and had good games. I tend to think it'll be more the conventional, gritty, kind of defensive, lower scoring game. But don't be surprised if it ends up being more high scoring than you think. I'm just saying that possibility exists because that's the way things have gone this year. So I'm going to pick the Vikings here because I think the Vikings are the better team. I've said that since day one. And I think they're rounding into form. And the one problem I have with the Bears is the inconsistency on offense. We know they're going to defend. We know that they're going to go after it, and the Vikings can handle that. They can handle that pressure. They can handle that kind of defense. So I'm picking the Vikings over the Bears, but this should be an interesting game and a very close one at that, very physical one at that. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Let's call this game, too. I think this is a good game, too. 4:25 p.m. Eastern on Fox from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. 4-5 Eagles, 2-2 on the road at the 8-1 Saints, 3-1 at home. To me, this is the last gasp for the Eagles. I know that nobody's running away with that division. I know that. But at the same time, 4-6 is going to be rough to come back from. They get this, they're 5-5. They're very much in play. Also, I think it's a confidence boost because being an 8-1 team would give them a lot of confidence. So that'd be huge for them. For the Saints, it's an opportunity to continue to keep pace with the Rams for that 1 seed, and obviously maybe get close to putting things away as far as locking up your division and your playoff spot. So big game. I like the Eagles. I got to pick an upset somewhere. I think this is gonna be my upset. I like the Eagles to beat the Saints. I think they're gonna put up their competition. I think they recognize the challenge that this is gonna be, especially in New Orleans. It's tough to beat New Orleans at home, but I think the Eagles can do it. They're the same team that won the Super Bowl last year. They have some injuries, yes, but I think that's still in there. I think they're better than what they've shown. And I think losing the Cowboys last week is going to set them up well here to kind of go into this game with a chip on their shoulder. I like the Eagles to win a close game against the Saints on Sunday. So it'll be an interesting game. All right. What other games should I pick here? I don't know if I like that game. Maybe. Let's go 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern on CBS. FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. The 6-3 Texans, 3-2 on the road at the 6-3 Redskins, 3-2 at home. This is a story between a story between two teams that, one of which in the Texans that started off really bad and come on over the last few weeks, and another one that's kind of flew under the radar and just really, it hasn't been impressive. Maybe they've won some games that they should win. That's pretty much the reason why they have a better record. It's a team that many people think has an inflated record, that hasn't proven anything in the Redskins, and a team in the Texans that maybe people feel the same way about, but because they came back from starting off so badly, people maybe buy them a little bit better. Maybe because also they thought more highly of the Texans before the season than the Redskins. So, honestly, I'm not in love with either one of these teams. I think the Texans are better. I think they have a better core. I think they have more athleticism and explosiveness at quarterback with Deshaun Watson and Alex Smith. But I think Alex Smith is better as far as like decision making goes, and I think the Redskins might be a better, more structured team. The Texans sometimes on offense leave a lot to be desired, other than the quarterback, who is kind of come back to form here. Defensively, I think they're about even. So I guess it comes down to who you think has the better, quarterback, and Deshaun Watson is more talented. So I'm going to go with the Texans here. But again, this is kind of like a flip of a coin. I'm going to go with Texans over Redskins because of the quarterback, but yeah, it's kind of like a flip of a coin. So Texans over Redskins for me. I'll go with the quarterback in that game. Another 1 o'clock music game. Let me call this game, because this is a significant game, because the winner of this game is still alive. The other one is out, I imagine. I won't say that. Let me rephrase that into someone. 1 o'clock music game on CBS from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. 5-4 Titans, 2-3 on the road at the 4-5 Colts, 2-2 at home. This is a must-win for the Colts. Because here's the thing: if the Titans lose, they're still 5-5. They're very much alive. Colts lose, they're 4-6. They are not alive. Okay, this is a big game because Colts winning, they're 5-5. Titans are 5-5, so they tie the Titans. They win this game, so it puts them very much in play here going into Week 12. So for me, this is a big game for the Colts, especially at home, that they have to win. I think they will win. I like what I've seen from the Colts offensively. It's really been about whether they get enough out of themselves defensively, and lately they've been able to do that. So I think they've won a lot of close games and been in a lot of close games. I think they've learned a lot. I think they're coming along. So yeah, I like the Colts over the Titans on Sunday. One more game to pick. And I'm going to pick I don't know what. It's got to be either Bengals, Ravens, or Cowboys, Falcons. I don't know if I buy Green Bay, Seattle Thursday night. Which game am I? I'm gonna pick Cowboys Falcons, because if Flacco doesn't play, which I don't know if he will. Now that game's Bengals should blow out the Ravens if Flacco don't play. Even with their defense, they probably should. All right, 1 o'clock from the game on Fox from Mercedes-Benz Superdome and Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. The 4-5 Cowboys, 1-4 on the road at the 4-5 Falcons, 3-2 at home. Loser is finished off. Winner is still alive in their respective playoff race. Falcons are usually better at home. This year they're 3-2. Cowboys have been struggling very much on the road. Even their win last week, they didn't look particularly good. They don't inspire a lot of confidence, which is why I'm going to pick the Falcons. Because not only do I think the Falcons are the better team, but they're the better team at home. So I'm going to pick the Falcons here in this game. I'm only picking this game because I just can't find a better game, quite frankly. But I'm picking the Falcons over the Cowboys in this game, and it should be ugly. Because the Falcons haven't played very well this year either. So, all right, outside of the games that I mentioned, here's a few of the other games. Lately I've been reading off every game and then going back and making picks. From now on, I'm going to go back to the old way of doing things, where I give you the picks and I kind of give you the rest of the games that are on the slate that we haven't talked about already. So, all right. So outside of the games that I picked, you also have the Thursday night football game, 8:20 p.m. Eastern on Fox and the NFL Network from Seattle, Washington. The 4-4-1 Packers, 0-4 on the road at the 4-5 Seahawks. We're 1-2 at home. It's not a bad game. Chance for both teams to keep their playoff hopes alive. You also have 1 o'clock Houston game on Fox from Detroit. The 6-3 Panthers, 1-3 on the road at the 3-6 Lions, 2-2 at home. You also have at 1 o'clock Eastern on Fox from MetLife Stadium, the 3-6 Buccaneers, 1-4 on the road at the 2-7 Giants, 0-4 home. Giants will look to win 2 in a row. Should do this at home. Help build their confidence. You also have at 1 o'clock Eastern game on CBS from Jacksonville, Florida, the 6-2-1 Steelers, 3-0-1 on the road at the 3-6 Jaguars, 2-3 at home. An opportunity for the Jaguars to play sport. An opportunity for the Steelers to continue to roll. 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern game on CBS from Baltimore, Maryland, a classic rivalry game out of the AFC North. We have the 5-4 Bengals, 2-2 on the road at the 4-5 Ravens, 2-2 at home. Ravens might be without Joe Flacco. If they are, just an easier game for the Bengals. If they're not, Flacco will probably still not be himself. And the Ravens have been struggling anyway of late, so I'd still probably favor the Bengals either which way you look at in this game. But we'll see. Not much. It's turning into a game that has less significance than we thought it would have a couple weeks ago. But if the Bengals win it, then 6-4, you're still very much alive for that sixth playoff spot. And same thing with the Ravens. They win it, they're 5-5. They're still very much alive. So, whoever wins the game is very much still in play for a playoff spot. 4-5 p.m. Eastern game on CBS from Glendale, Arizona. The 1-8 Raiders, 0-4 on the road. The 2-7 Cardinals, 1-4 at home. That game obviously has no significance. 4-5 p.m. Eastern game on CBS from Carson, California. The 3-6 Broncos, 1-3 on the road. At the 7-2 Chargers, 3-1 at home. Chargers look to continue their winning streak. I think they will. They played very, very well. And that's all the games. Again, the games I mentioned when we made our picks for this week. So that's all the games. Teams have a bye this week. The Bills, the Jets, the 49ers, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Browns. So a lot of teams out of the AFC East with byes this week. So obviously next week we'll look back at our picks, look ahead to week 12. We'll have our traditional supersized NFL picks because of Thanksgiving. So we'll make more than just the 6 picks. I think we'll make 9. We'll pick all the Thanksgiving games on top of the usual 6 picks we make. So we'll do that next week as well. So we'll look back at week 11, look ahead to week 12, and pick all the Thanksgiving games and have some fun with all that. So that'll be next week. So we'll see how this week's NFL games go. I don't expect a lot because the last couple weeks have been pretty boring. Now it's just kind of like, let's just get to the playoffs and let these teams play it out. But we'll see. Maybe something will surprise us this week. So that's it for our NFL talk for this week. And now let's get to some college football, who has also had a very uneventful week. Not much in the way of shakeups over this last week. Not much going on. All the teams that you really thought would win pretty much won. Not too much in the way of upsets. Let's see here. I'm just going to look back and see if there's anything that I'm missing here, because sometimes things just NC State lost to Wake Forest. That one was a surprise. Syracuse handled business against Louisville. Fresno State lost. Alabama beat Mississippi State handily. Clemson beat Boston College. Notre Dame beat Florida State. Michigan handled Rutgers. Georgia beat Auburn, like we all thought they would. Oklahoma handled business. LSU handled business. Washington State, West Virginia. Ohio State beat Michigan State in a game I thought Ohio State would lose. Tennessee beat Kentucky. That's probably the only significant upset of this week. UCF continued to roll. Florida handled business. Yeah, so no significant upsets other than Tennessee beating Kentucky. So no big changes in the college football playoff rankings for this week. Syracuse moved up to 12. Everybody else stayed the same, for the most part as far as the big teams go. So UCF moved up 1 as well to 11, and that was pretty much it. So no significant changes. Now, this week's schedule, again, I'm moving quickly because there ain't a lot to say. This week's schedule of games. Again, now, look, you're down to the final few weeks or so. Every game matters, especially in terms of the teams that are in the playoff hunt here. And look, today they released some scenarios here or where things would be if they ended today, who'd be in the playoffs, who'd be in the Big Six New Year's games, all that stuff. So we're getting closer, and that's when you start seeing that kind of stuff. So here's your slate of games this week. Anything of interest? Well, look, Alabama's got Citadel. They'll handle business there. Boise State, New Mexico. Ohio State, Maryland. Syracuse, Notre Dame at 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC on Saturday is a huge game, probably one of the biggest of the season, because that one could propel Syracuse into a spot. And I'm not just saying this as a homer. That could propel Syracuse into a spot where they could factor into things. Who knows? Depending on how things fall. That'd be a significant game to check out. Let's see, Clemson's got Duke, but I don't think Duke's got enough to beat them, so I don't think that'll be a game of no. UCF, Cincinnati, that's worth checking out. See if UCF can continue their unbeaten season. Iowa State, Texas, Washington State, Arizona. Yeah, other than Syracuse, Notre Dame, and maybe Duke, Clemson, because maybe Duke was surprised by it. Clemson, 20-point favorite. I don't think they will. I think Clemson will win that game. So I really, other than Syracuse, Notre Dame on Saturday, there's no good games. There's really nothing of interest. So I don't see, other than Syracuse beating Notre Dame on Saturday, there's nothing that can happen because I think everybody else is going to win. As far as big teams go, that's going to really shake things up this weekend. So I don't see much changing other than maybe if Syracuse wins. Next week, the last week of the regular season, you have some games next week that might be worth, be of interest. Syracuse, Boston College, especially Syracuse beats Notre Dame. Michigan plays Ohio State, so that could set, if Ohio State beats Michigan, they could come into play. Georgia plays Georgia Tech. That could be an upset. Auburn, Alabama. That could be an upset too. Notre Dame gets USC. So there's some games of significance next week that could very much come into play for the playoff rankings and how things unfold. So next weekend has far more going for it than this week. I don't expect much change for Syracuse beats Notre Dame as far as the playoff rankings and such go this week. So we'll see how it all turns out. Again, it should be a very uneventful week in college football. And it looks like a very uneventful week in the NFL. So kind of a quiet football week this week, unfortunately. But hey, it is what it is. You can't help the way that things are scheduled, and you can't help the way teams perform. So we'll see how things land next week here. Because next week should be very interesting as far as college football and really the NFL too. I think there's just better games next week on both regards that could be more significant. So again, I'm rushing through things not because of time and my voice, but because there's not much to talk about. Things are pretty quiet in college football right now. Pretty quiet in the NFL because not a lot of eventful games going on. A lot of things are pretty much, I won't say settled, but it's not very compelling right now. Not a lot of change going on, if you will. So, all right. So that's all the football. Let's move away from the uneventful and move on to the eventful. And it was very, very much an eventful week in college basketball, and its first really true week. Because the champions class, which we talked a little bit about last week, Duke, very impressive, beating Kentucky the way they did, and they moved rightfully up to number one. They should have been number one already. I just couldn't understand why they weren't. I really couldn't. Kansas dropped. I thought Kansas was a little overrated. I thought Kentucky. Kentucky was. I think Kentucky's not. I think Kentucky's very good. I thought Kansas was overrated. I thought Michigan State was overrated. So I'm glad they both dropped. But yeah, Champions Classic was interesting. And Duke came out of that like the team to kind of keep an eye on. We all knew that anyway, but they very much validated it. So that was eventful start to the season. Obviously, we had all these the military-based games, naval ship games, all these kind of like early season kind of spotlights, which was great. It's always great to see at the beginning of the season. Then this week we start the high turn, which is when you really start to gauge teams because they're going to play a lot of top tier competition. So that's why we don't do the college basketball preview until after those tournaments because that's really when you get a sense of these teams. So over these next 10 days or so, you really get a sense of some of these teams. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else as far as big. I know there's a couple teams that lost that I was surprised by. Let's see here. Because a lot of teams just handle their business, but there was a couple. Let's see here. Auburn beats Washington, which is top 25 match. That was a pretty good game. If you got the chance to check that one out, high scoring. Buffalo beat West Virginia. Buffalo's a team to keep an eye on. They're going to be one of those bracket buster teams. They beat West Virginia, number 13 West Virginia, on the road. So that's a very impressive win for Buffalo. So that was one of the big headlines from this week. Let's see here. I think that's it as far as the big headlines go. But still, that's far more. Between the champions Classic and the West Virginia loss to Buffalo, that's far more than what college football and what the NFL had going for it this week, in my opinion. So, so not a whole lot, I would say. You come away from week one being very impressed with Duke. I'd even be impressed with Kentucky, despite the way they lost, because I think Kentucky's better. I just think Duke's that good. And Zion Williamson is incredible. R.J. Barrett's incredible. You come away from it thinking Duke's just going to be, if they play the way they played last week, and they stay healthy all the way through, it's gonna be hard to beat Duke. It really is. You come away from it thinking, I'd still say thinking well of Kentucky. I'd say well also Tennessee. Kansas, Michigan State a little overrated, but they'll be in play. Buffalo looks good, beating West Virginia on the road. That's a big thing for them. So keep an eye on them as far as a potential sweeper for the NCAA tournament. Everybody else pretty much handled their business. No other significant headlines, but like I said, that's a lot. That's far more than what I thought was going on in the sport of football this week. So, as far as college football and pro, so for me, it's a little bit more eventful week because I feel like you come away with more than you did from the NFL and college football this week. So, things will pick up big time for college basketball over this next week. Like I said, the holiday tournaments will start to come into play. Over these next 10 days or so, you're going to have some big games going on. Over these next couple, like I said, over these next 10 days. Georgia Tech, Tennessee going on tonight. Michigan, Villanova tomorrow night. That's a huge early season matchup. That's tomorrow, like I said. Let's see. Syracuse and UConn, old school Big East matchup on Thursday. That's a good game worth watching. Let's see what else. Not much going on through the weekend, which with football, they usually plan it out the way they do. A lot of holiday tournaments. Some of these games you won't know ahead of time. So this, there'll be more games. You just don't know them ahead of time. It's going by what we know ahead of time. Duke, San Diego State on Monday. That one's not bad. That's probably worth checking out because I think San Diego State's going to be better this year. I think Mountain West will be better this year. Got a lot of games to be determined because of tournaments. Let's see what else. I'm just trying to see if there's anything worth. Texas, North Carolina on Thanksgiving. Florida State and UAB, that's not bad either. Michigan State, UCLA, that's a good game as well. That's all on Thanksgiving. That's taking us, past next week when we're going to be talking more about things. So I kind of went a little more far out than I wanted to because I want to only go to Tuesday because we'll talk about college basketball again on Tuesday, obviously. So, but yeah, there's a couple good. So that's an example of some games coming up. And again, there will be more good games. It's just that with the tournament play, you do not know. These games won't be scheduled. They'll play themselves out, and you get the matchup as you go along. So, yeah, there'll be far more big games over this next week to kind of give you an idea of some of these teams and challenge them. And so I think it'll be a good week in college basketball to see some of these teams play quality competition and kind of see where they're at. And then, a couple weeks we'll do our college basketball preview and discuss them in detail and discuss the conferences and make some predictions and all that good stuff. So it'll be a very good week in college basketball. So, watch some of these games, check your TV listings, and, and check out some of these games because there'll be good ones. There'll be some good ones, and I even gave you a little bit of some of the ones that will come up next week on Thanksgiving. So some definite games worth watching. So all right, so not much to say about college basketball. Again, I didn't say we had a lot to do. I just said we had some stuff to get to. So and we're getting to all those things, and we got one more thing to get to for tonight. and that is the MLB Rookie of the Year choices, which came out over these last couple of days. And I already spoke a couple weeks ago about voting for MVP and how I felt like they screwed over JD Martinez. And now you have, and I didn't put this up here too. The reason why I'm blanking is because I just saw the managers awards, which I don't even understand. I'm gonna rant about that too, even though it's not in the show description. But let me first talk about the Rookie of the Year. So, you have Ronald Acuña Jr. wins NL Rookie of the Year, which I have no issue with. That's fine. So they got that one right. But yesterday, you have the Angels' Shohei Ohtani beat Miguel Andujar and Gleyber Torres to win the AL Rookie of the Year. Now, look, Gleyber Torres is one thing. He missed some time for an injury. I get it. How in tarnation? Now, look, everybody, let me issue a disclaimer right now before I get mad. Well, you're a Yankee fan. Take that out of that right now. Okay? Yes, I'm a Yankee fan. And yes, I do believe there's a bias when it comes to these awards. Okay? Because every example I'm about to cite involves a Yankee. But I also think it's valid. Okay? So just go with me on this for a second, if you will. So how in tarnation does Shohei Ohtani win the AL Rookie of the Year? Okay? How does this happen? Now, look, if you asked me before the season if he would, I would have said in a heartbeat. Because he's going to pitch, he's going to hit, he's going to be a star. You know, whatever. Okay? He had 285. He had 22 home runs. He had a 564 slugging percentage. Those would have ranked fourth in the AL. He had enough play appearances to qualify. And 51.2 innings over 10 starts. He went 4-2 with a 3.31 ERA and 63 strikeouts. And he did join Babe Ruth as the only players to hit at least 20 home runs and pitch at least 50 innings in the same season. Now, of course, you all know he'll serve as a full-time hitter in 2019. He has the only one, Tommy Johnson, so he will not pitch. But obviously, just on his hitting alone, people think he'd be deserving of a Rookie of the Year. Okay. So, all right. So, those are his stats, okay? Now, what are Andujar's stats? Well, Miguel Andujar, despite his bad fielding, which is well documented, we know he struggled at third base and errors and all that stuff. We know all that. Okay, we know all that. But Miguel Andujar hit 297 with 27 home runs and 47 doubles while driving in 92 runs. Now, Torres finished 271, 24 home runs in just 123 games. But again, he missed some time and the average, whatever. So let's look at Andujar. And then let's look at Ohtani. Ohtani, again, 22 home runs, 285, 564. Andujar, 297, 27, 47 doubles, 92 runs. Andujar is better in every offensive number. He also played almost the entire season at the major league level, except for what, the first couple weeks of April. How does Andujar lose to Shohei Ohtani? Well, he pitched and he hit. He did, but he also missed half the season. And who knows what would have happened if he hadn't. Maybe he would not have done as well. Maybe he would have done as well. We don't know. And if you're going to use the excuse a couple years ago as to why you didn't give Gary Sanchez the Rookie of the Year, well, he didn't play enough games to major league level. Well, same thing with Ohtani. Here's the thing that I think is crazy. Way back in 2003, when Hideki Matsui comes here, does not win Rookie of the Year. Why? Because, well, he's not a rookie. He played over in Japan. Well, Ohtani's not a rookie. He played over in Japan, but he won the Rookie of the Year. Why? Why? Because he pitched and he hit? Gary Sanchez doesn't win Rookie of the Year in 2016. Why? Well, he didn't play enough games in the major league level. Well, did Ohtani? Last year, Aaron Judge, he won Rookie of the Year, but they pretty much couldn't take away from him. He was an MVP candidate. Doesn't win MVP despite having better stats than Jose Altuve. And now this. I know that he had fielding issues, but there's no way, shape, or form that Andujar should not have beaten Ohtani for Rookie of the Year. Not when Ohtani pretty much did not play 70. Honestly, he didn't play 75% of the season. He was already started. They were already starting to sit him in May. It's a joke. It's a joke. I'm sorry. It's a joke. His numbers aren't bad. All right. Look, if this was about Ohtani versus Gleyber Torres, I would say in a heartbeat Ohtani. I would say in a heartbeat Ohtani because they both were on the DL. They both had their issues, whatever. But Miguel Andujar on a 100-win team, a team that made the playoffs. Look, without Andujar, they don't make the playoffs. His offensive numbers are so good that there's no way you can justify this. I'm sorry, you can't. People are going to try to justify it to me. Oh, you're just a Yankee fan. No, you can't. If Andujar played for even the Red Sox, I would have said he should have won it. It's a joke. I'm sorry. It's a joke. Pretty much what happened here was the minute Ohtani agreed to come to Major League Baseball, to America, he won the Rookie of the Year. As long as he didn't play for the Yankees, he played for the Yankees, probably would have lost it. If Andujar played for the Angels and Ohtani played for the Yankees, Andujar would have won it. I can guarantee you that. Because people don't like to award the Yankees, but they absolutely have to. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. It's one of those things like it's like what happens at the Oscars with the big budget movies. Well, we're not going to award the big budget movies. Why? Because they already get enough. They make the money. They're the ones people remember. Same thing with baseball. We're gonna vote. We're gonna give it to Ohtani. We don't need to give it to the Yankees, or we don't. It's any awards. We don't need to give it to the Yankees. Why? Well, they get enough. They're the Yankees. It's a joke. It's a joke. Guy didn't play for more than half the season. He wins the MVP, wins the Rookie of the Year over a guy that played the whole season. And it's the reason why, in my mind, the team made the playoffs. Because without him, they had their days. They had no offense but Miguel Andujar. I don't care how bad his defense at third base was. It wasn't that bad that you don't. At least he fielded the position. He was there every day. He hit for average, for power, drove in runs. If there wasn't an option, if Andujar wasn't in play, I would be okay with Ohtani winning. But he is in play. And that's the reason why. The reason why I have an issue with this. I don't want to take anything away from Ohtani. What he did was amazing, and he hope he continues to be able to do it. And it's good for baseball, which is probably why they wanted him to win this, because it's good for baseball. It brings eyes to the sport. But right is right. And if you're going to use the excuse, well, this guy has too much experience. He played in Japan, so he's not a real rookie. To say that Matsui can't win it, then Ohtani can't win it. If you're going to say, well, he didn't play enough games at the major league roster when it comes to Gary Sanchez and not give him Rookie of the Year, then you can't give it to Ohtani. While Andrew Howard's sitting there playing every game and having better statistics and playing for a team that went to the playoffs and won 100 games. You can't do this. But they did it. And this is the reason why these voters have no credibility with me. They never do. They never have. The only time they make the right decision is when it's so impossible for them to deny somebody their rightful place as the top vote getter. Otherwise, they make the wrong decisions. Because they were biased and they let stupid garbage that has no bearing on anything factor into their decisions. Andrew Howard should be Rookie of the Year. Bottom line. I'm not being a fanboy. I'm not trying to be biased here. The facts are the facts. Facts are the facts. I'm sorry. Like I said, if Andrew Howard wasn't on this team, if it was between Torres and Ohtani, I would have given it to Ohtani. But not when it comes to not when it's between Andrew Howard and Ohtani. Sorry, Andrew Howard should have won. And the fact that he didn't shows you how stupid and how pathetic these voters are, and how they shouldn't be allowed to continue to vote on these awards. That there needs to be a new process, and it needs to be done the right way. We can go into have the Hall of Fame and everything else too, because it's all handled badly in baseball. It just is. Just is. But when I saw this yesterday, I was just and I knew it was coming, because I felt all along they were going to go for Ohtani. And that's the sad part, that you could have predicted this. Even when he was hurt, you could have predicted this. Because they just needed this, the story they wanted to tell. They wanted Ohtani to win, and they thought it was going to be a foregone conclusion because they never imagined him getting hurt. But he did just enough stat-wise, particularly offensively, where they felt like they could justify continuing to give it to him. And I'm sorry, even what he did wasn't enough to justify giving it to him when you compare him to Andrew Howard. It just wasn't. And to make matter, and to get further, these voters have no idea what the frick they're doing. Today, after they awarded NL Manager of the Year to Braves Snicker, which is a good choice. But the AL man, it's like whoever's voting for the American League Awards has just got a screw loose. From JD Martinez not getting enough votes to the Andrew Howard Ohtani thing, and now today, Bob Melvin of the Oakland A's wins the AL Manager of the Year over Alex Cora and Kevin Cash. How? Now look, I know the A's had a better year than we all thought they would. Okay? And if you want to give it to Alex Cora, well, it's the Red Sox, and it's the whole Yankee Red Sox. Oh, they got resources. Okay, fine, whatever. I can deal with that. I can reconcile not giving it to Alex Cora. But how? And I know they didn't make the playoffs. I get it. How do you overlook Kevin Cash? How? Kevin Cash took a Tampa Bay team that everybody thought was going to tank and not do anything this year and be one of the worst teams in history. And he led. I'm trying to find the statistics here. read read the Rays to more than 80 wins. When nobody thought they'd even sniff the playoffs, okay, or we come close. He had him in the hunt. He also came up with the innovative using a reliever as an opener, which was copied by other teams, including the A's themselves. I don't understand, and I know they didn't make the playoffs, and that's probably the reason why Kevin Cash didn't win it. That's probably the reason. But boy, that's a pretty crappy reason. I'm sorry. I mean, when somebody does what Kevin Cash did, and the innovation and how he was able to pull this thing together and get Tampa as far as he did this year, how he is able to do that is such a challenge and such a great job of managing with very little resource. And again, I know the A's do the same thing, but still, he did far more, in my mind, with less than the A's did. So a terrible, terrible, terrible decision by these voters. And a series of terrible decisions. They just can't get it right this year, in my mind. They just can't. Look, I would have been okay with Alex Cora, but I can understand why I can understand not going for him. But if not Alex Cora, it should have been Kevin Cash. Bob Melvin, all due respect, I like Bob Melvin. I think he's a great manager. But no. And I know it was a closer vote. I get it, but than the other ones, but no. I just don't get what these voters were doing this year. I really, really don't. And there needs to be changes to the Hall of Fame voting. There needs to be changes to the awards voting. The AL side of things this year is just a god-awful mess. God-awful mess. You'd hear me yelling more, but I can't. My voice, I can't. But terrible. Terrible. Just don't understand it. And it goes to show you it's not about bias for my favorite team. Because look, I'm talking about the Red Sox, the Rays, and the A's. I'm not sitting here saying that Aaron Boone should have won. Okay? So it's not about that. What it's about is being right and being fair. And just that the way that the voting has gone this year on the AL side is a mess. So, yeah. So unfortunately, I can't do a louder, more dramatic rant because my voice can't do it right now. But I think I got the point across. So, all right. So before I lose my voice completely, and that's kind of why I'm meandering because I'm trying to keep things. I'm just trying to keep it together here. So I apologize. It wasn't the best show tonight for me, but kind of powered through here. So, all right. So with that being said, it is getting late. So let's wind down before my voice is a complete loss at this point. So, the show might be over. It's not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. Can you have your voice heard? Send us your feedback, your questions about the show, the scheduling of the show, topic ideas, breaking news, sports, entertainment, wrestling you want us to cover. Reactions, comments, opinions, things we talked about on the show. Any things you can do by email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Remember to use the hashtag itspotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook and make sure that you like our fan page once you're on it or once you find us, you can interact with us and all that good stuff. Again, follow us on social media so you can get the latest information about the show, especially when it comes to scheduling, any last-minute postponements or delays, or just general interaction with us. We post random things on our social media as well. We interact with the fans, whatever. So if you want access to all that and more, make sure that you follow us on Twitter at itspotlight411. Make sure you use the hashtag itspotlight411 so you can tweet at us or directly to us. And we can see it. It helps promote the show. And you know the drill. And, of course, you can find us on Facebook. Just search In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure you like our fan page so you can interact with us and see everything that we're talking about and all that good stuff. You have two ways to keep up with the show and look back at past episodes. You can stream us anytime on YouTube. Just head over to YouTube and search for In the Spotlight 411. You'll find every episode we've ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube. That's every episode from mid-October 2015. All episodes tonight's current episodes. Those episodes are available for you to stream anytime you want. So just check us out on YouTube and search In the Spotlight 401, and you can stream us and have some fun and look back at old episodes from the last few years and catch up on on past episodes and all that, and whatever else you feel like doing with those episodes. Getting new, showing them to other people to get us new fans, whatever you want to do with them. If streaming's not your thing, maybe you want to, maybe prefer to listen to us or listen to us on the go because you just don't like, seeing us on screen because, we're not very pleasant to look at for you or something. I don't know. Or if you're interested in older episodes of the show, if any of that applies to you, check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes. So it's In the Spotlight 401 on both those sites. When you do, you'll be taken to our show pages on both sites. We will have access to every episode we've ever produced in the 8 years we've been doing this show. So every episode from our original Blog Talk Radio run from October 2010 to January 2011. All of our episodes from our Talk Show run from January 2011 all the way up to mid-October 2015. All of our Google Plus news episodes mid-October 2015. All up to tonight's current episodes. All those episodes transfer into audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done in audio format for your convenience in order from the most recent, that being tonight's, all the way to the oldest, way back in October 2010. Every episode available in audio format. You can listen to it anytime you want. Listen to it on the go. Maybe you're a long-time fan on a second episode from a few years ago again, or a new fan on a second episode that old for the first time, or keep up with current episodes, maybe miss an episode, miss a part episode. If any of that applies to you, check us out at our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, search In the Spotlight 401. So again, Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, your ways to keep up the show and look back at classic episodes. Search for In the Spotlight 401. Again, just search for In the Spotlight 401. Please remember Google. I got kicked Google Plus out of my spiel here because they're not a thing anymore, but I just keep saying because this is something that I've been saying for years. So, but yeah. All right. Shout out to my co-host Mike. He'll be back with us on Thursday and probably Tuesday as well. So we'll look forward to talking with him on Thursday. So shout out to him. Hope everything's going well with him. I want to thank myself for a great show. Have myself on my back. Best show I could do. Not a great show. It was rough tonight. It was more rough than I thought it was gonna be. I thought, it's funny when you sit down and you outline the show and you have your notes. You think you're gonna be able to talk because I do bullet points and I do real details on them. And when you sit there and you go, okay, we don't have a lot to talk about. We have enough. We got some interesting things. And you kind of, as you're going through the show, you feel like, wow, there wasn't a whole lot going on this week. There wasn't a lot of NFL stuff to talk about. There wasn't a lot of college football stuff. There wasn't a lot of college basketball stuff to talk about. The MLB stuff we talked about. But that's the stuff I probably could have went into more detail about. But I can't rant about it because my voice is gone. So it was like you're kind of compromised this week in far things. We got far more to talk about on Thursday with the wrestling and everything. So that'll be better. But did the best we could with it, folks. So, and plus with my voice and everything. So hopefully it was something you got something out of tonight. But yeah. We do the best we can. Sometimes just, you don't have a lot to work with. So, but anyway, in any event, that's it for tonight. Again, our next show will be Thursday, this coming Thursday, which will be November the 15th, 10 o'clock from Eastern Time here on YouTube. We'll talk some entertainment. We'll do our TV highlights. We'll do 2 weeks worth of box office beat numbers. We'll talk Raw on the wrestling side of things, WWE Raw, WWE SmackDown, we'll preview WWE Survivor Series, all the big stuff that's going on with all that. We'll talk about it. All that will be coming up on Thursday. My co-host Mike will be back with us on Thursday to join us for that show. So it'll be a fun event. We can't wait for that. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. See you back here this coming Thursday night at 10 o'clock from Eastern Time here on YouTube. Hope you all stay safe. If you're going to be impacted by any of the snow, please be careful, be safe. And again, to all those impacted by the wildfires and all the tragedy that's been going on of late, our thoughts and prayers are with you. Be safe. And again, if anybody can help or volunteer or donate or do whatever you have to, please help those impacted by the recent tragedies that have taken place, including out in California. So if you can do that, please do. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with everybody in California, anybody that's been impacted by the recent tragedies that have taken place. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. And again, if you're in the midst of any bad weather, please be safe. And we'll see you back here Thursday night for our next show at 10 o'clock Eastern Time here on YouTube. Until then, have a good night, everybody. See you Thursday.